Looking out of tragedy in Macbeth, I had three main thoughts, but the one thing that surfaced this entire time was as I'm watching this, I'm like, everyone thinks A24 movies are weird. Well, Shakespearean tales are also very weird. So technically, Shakespeare was doing A24 stories before A24 was even a thing. What's going on, buddy? Welcome back to a brand new movie review. Today we're discussing one of my most anticipated films of the fall season, and that is The Tragedy of Macbeth, directed and written by Joel Coen, who is one of the brothers from the Coen brothers, and starring the likes of Denzel Washington, Frances McDormand, Alex Hawes, and Corey Hawkins. Now, this is about a Scottish lord who becomes convinced by a trio of witches that he will become the next king of Scotland, and his ambitious wife supports him in his plans of seizing power. Now, this is very much Shakespeare. Now, if you're a fan of Shakespeare, you're going to love this movie. If you're not a fan of Shakespeare, I still think you're going to find some things in here that are very much for the film crowd, especially if you are a film geek like me. Now, for me, I'm not the biggest fan of Shakespeare. There are some stories that I absolutely adore, some that I don't love, and some that I've just never truly gotten into. And Macbeth is the one that, while I love the concept of it, it has never truly worked out for me as being one of my favorite Shakespearean tales. And as I'm looking at all of his big run-up lineups and finding out that this is Joel Coen's big passion project to make, the fact that he actually made this one, I can see why this is his big passion project. You can tell from every single scene and every single moment. But the second thing is, this is probably my favorite interpretation of Macbeth that I've seen in a while when it comes onto a film screen. Even if I still feel like this is a movie that I need to dive into, because the more that I think about it, the more that I do really like about it. But the one thing I have to say is, how is no one putting this in their Oscar predictions? Like, it's baffling me that no one's talking about this movie for those. I have a lot of thoughts of what should be nominated, what shouldn't be, and all sorts of things like that, but definitely Tragedy of Macbeth should be a high contender in all those things. Even if I didn't love the movie, I still really liked it, and I'm sure if you're here, you also love talking movies, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so we can keep talking movies over here on a daily basis. Down below in the comment section, I want to hear your guys' thoughts. What's your thoughts on Shakespeare? What's your favorite Shakespearean tale? Do you love Macbeth? Are you excited for this movie? Well, let's discuss it all down there. With any movie review, I love starting talking about the pros because I'm all about film appreciation. And one of the big things is the commanding actor in here, Denzel Washington, who one of my favorite quotes from one of his movies is Training Day, and it's this one.
Because I'm gonna burn this motherfucker down. King Kong ain't got shit on me.
Because King Kong ain't got shit on him. Seriously. When you look at every performance this guy gives, it is always 110%. Denzel Washington is one of the best actors that has ever lived and that has ever been in the Hollywood sphere. And this movie just shows he commands the goddamn screen. And for me, he is one of the best actors that has given a performance in 2021. And honestly, this might be one of my favorite Denzel Washington performances ever. He absolutely embodies Macbeth in every single way, and it really impressed me with how he was able to delve in and really much camouflage himself into this role. You completely forget that you were watching Denzel Washington do Shakespeare. It is amazing to see what he does in this movie. If he's not nominated, I will literally cause a riot. I'm not saying he should win because I still think Will Smith is the best performance of this year, but man, oh man, this performance is out of this world, insanely great. So goes, of course, to Frances McDormand, who plays Lady Macbeth, and she is amazing as well. Again, another actress that when we're talking about our favorite actresses of all time, Frances McDormand's name should be in there. She's so stellar. Likes of Alex Hassell, Corey Hawkins, Brandon Gleeson, Harry Melling, Miles Anderson, and really much any person you can name from this movie, they are all fantastic. There's not one weak link in this film. Each and every one of them brings this Shakespearean play to life. And again, the big star of this, not just from the performances, is our director and writer, Joel Coen, who this is his big passion project, and you can feel it in every scene. What a technical masterpiece this is. Now, I don't think the movie's perfect, but technically, this film is a masterpiece. The cinematography is some of the most exquisite and beautiful stuff that I've seen, and we've gotten a couple black and white movies this year. This is the cup of it all. This is the best looking one of them all. And truly enough, there are certain scenes that I have no idea how he pulled off. I just look at that and I'm like, on an artistic level, how in the hell did you make that? A lot of film nerds are absolutely going to ooh, ah, this mesmerizing gaze as they watch this movie. I could not take my eyes off the screen watching this movie. And again, that's not just because of the performances, even though I was totally inclined with what Denzel Washington was doing in here. He commanded the screen once again. Coen's direction here is one of the most impressive things that I've seen this year, and I was truly engaged from top to bottom. With any Shakespearean tale, there's so much to dive into and discuss and really much analyze. That's some of the stuff that I'm actually looking forward to on repeat viewings, that I actually think that I might come to love Macbeth even more than I did originally coming out of the screening. Because right now, I'm at really liking it, but I'm hoping eventually on certain rewatches I might get to that point of loving it. Other technical achievement that I really want to discuss with this movie is the sound design. This is one of the things that I've been starting to pick up a little bit later in my career as a film critic. Well, a little bit later, I'm still young, but in general the last couple of years, and the sound design here, the sound mixing, the editing, all of that sorts of nature bring this to life. There are certain howls and creaks in the way that they really much bring out the atmosphere inside this location. The production design as well is so exquisite. Again, blew my mind away, and it actually made me feel like I was watching a Broadway play on the screen in front of every single performance, moment, and every single sequence. I felt like as every act went on, every act got better and better, and usually it's the opposite. Starts strong and gets a little bit weaker. Through this movie, it was the opposite way. Like I said, I only really like this movie, and there's a couple things that I do think the movie held back, and maybe this is just because of expectations. Yeah, Coen brothers doing this film, and I get hyped out of my mind. I want to see what he's going to do that's maybe different than the other tales of Macbeth that I've seen. And walking into the movie, I expected something a little bit different. No, this is straight Shakespearean, and I feel like it was a miss to not do something a little bit different. Yes, some little glimmers and sequences and set pieces are very much different, but I wanted a little bit more from that overall, and that's what I was truly expecting from this movie, but I didn't get it. And again, maybe that's my expectations there, and maybe that's what a rewatch will really much help, but I do feel like the style of the Coens wasn't there, and even though the direction was so strong and powerful, it's unlike anything they've ever done before, and honestly, even though it's different, that's not the con. My con is I wish they would have done something different with the Macbeth story overall. The direction part of it, I'm happy they went in a different way. I think that's where I just go to say the tragedy of Macbeth is a technical achievement to marvel at. Coen's direction at times puts you into a mesmerizing gaze that never lets up, and Denzel absolutely should be in contention for Best Actor for overall. I'm not the biggest Shakespearean fan. I like a lot of his plays, but Macbeth has never been the one that I've loved out of my mind, and I should, because I love the concept. This is probably one of my favorite interpretations of it on the big screen, but I gotta say, I was hoping for something a little bit more unique as it came to direction from the story part, but the fact that it's just Shakespearean and we get this awesome new different directorial effort from Coen, I think is such an achievement that I can't wait to see what he does next. So with all that said, I'm going to give The Tragedy of Macbeth a B+. I understand everything in this movie, but this is going to be definitely one movie that I think film fanatics are going to love. Let me know down below, guys, what your guys' thoughts are on this movie, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, comment down below again, head on over to Sandwich on Films on how to see films early, and of course, a big thank you to you, and a big thank you to my Patreon supporters, because without you, I would not be able to do this. So of course, until next time, stay classy.